India or Bharat, which name would you prefer your host country uses to introduce you on your next official visit?
Bharat.
Okay. Popular answer. Kabul, Ukraine, Vande Bharat, Sudan. Which was the more stressful evacuation for you?
Tough one, because each one had its own moments of anxiety. I would say it's honestly a tough one. In each case, we actually had firings. People were that close to something bad happening.
You know, Shubhajit was one of them. In Kabul, Shubhajit, our reporter, was one of the people who was ducking bullets.
In Kabul, getting people to the airport was the big challenge. In Sudan, collecting them because they were spread out everywhere was the big challenge. In Ukraine, actually moving them from east of Ukraine to the west of Ukraine, because there were two cities, Kharkiv and Sumy, where there was actually fighting going on. So I would say all of them are equally stressful.
Okay. The one lesson American diplomats can learn from Indian diplomats?
Speak better English.
You can't give an answer. You can't give the same answer for the next question. The one lesson Chinese diplomats can learn from Indian diplomats.
Be nice to Indians.
The one lesson Indian foreign policy can learn from American foreign policy.
I won't give you a flippant answer, because actually I think still in many ways how to be a global power is something which is enormously complicated.
Does that entail does that entail allowing every professor to come in for every seminar in India?
Well, I think you know the answer.
Okay. So your first book made lots of references to the Mahabharata. This one, I enjoyed all the references to Ramayana, and some you made reference to both. So now I want you to imagine you're living in a utopian time where all characters of Mahabharata and Ramayana are walking on the earth. Now, you have the magical ability to request both Hanuman and Shri Krishna, one who, I'm quoting from the book, performs his duties undaunted by any obstacles, and the other a master strategist and source of wisdom at difficult moments. Who would you send to which country to fix our relationship with?
I would give them like a global contract. I would say, look, you are capable of fixing everything. Do it, because each one has a different strength.
Okay, I'm going to list some countries down, and I think you can. I'll try to push for an answer. Okay, let's first say between Pakistan and China, who would you send to which country?
I would probably send Hanuman to Pakistan and Shri Krishna to China.
Who would you send to Maldives? Who would you send to Sri Lanka? Who would you send to Nepal?
No, I wouldn't. I would give them a global contract, but I wouldn't overtax them here.
Which abbreviation do you think has the most potential, and which is the most challenging to get off ground? I2U2, that's India, Israel, UAE, USA. The second abbreviation is IMEC, Indo-Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. Third abbreviation is SAGAR, Security and Growth for All in Region. Fourth abbreviation is IPOI, Indian Pacific Oceans Initiative. And the fifth is not an abbreviation, but just go with it, Quad.
First of all, I like this whole concept of abbreviations, because it sticks in people's minds. Okay. You tell people today, SAGAR, everybody knows what you mean. I like SAGAR because it actually ended up as a word, So now, SAGAR was actually the Prime Minister's idea. In the case of I2U2, I must tell you, it started as a joke. We were four of us. Two of us were on ground and two of us were on screen. And when we met for the first time, and then the issue came up, so what should we call ourselves? So I joked saying, I2U2, and it was a partly U2 music kind of joke. And I was very surprised the next time we met that the officials sort of took it up seriously, and it acquired sort of real life. I like Quad for this reason. It makes it very clear that stays at 4.
Okay, fair. But which was the most challenging to get off the ground?
IMEC, we are still very, IMEC, I2, U2 very early. But in the case of Quad, remember, a decade ago, 2017 was the second time. We first attempted it in 2006, 2007. In 2007, and it didn't work. It didn't work because I think the 4 countries, they didn't talk enough among themselves. Maybe they didn't, frankly, have enough faith in each other. So when you have not succeeded on something, that's a bit of a, it's like facing a bowler after you got out the last time. You're a bit super cautious there. Fair. So I think there was initially concern in 2017 whether Quad would really smoothly take off. And we have surprised even ourselves by how well we have done in the last 7 years.
Super. Okay. RRR, Uri, 370, Kerala Files, Kashmir Files. Which film do you think helped bring Bharat's perspective out more?
That's an unfair question to ask me only because I haven't seen some of them. Fine. But I did like RRR a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned RRR in the book, so I thought.
No, not just for the dancing.
Yeah, okay. The one thing that excites you about a possible second Trump presidency, the one thing that concerns you about a second Trump presidency?
Let us see what happens in November.
Climate change doesn't concern you about it? That's like one thing that everybody's talking about, that if Trump comes back, all the climate sort of commitments
I don't think climate change would change between now and November. Let's wait till November.
Okay. Space, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, textiles, manufacturing, agriculture, human resources. Which will be the biggest leverage for India?
I would say in a 10-year time frame, space and semiconductors.
Okay. What's the one thing
that... How many questions you have there?
I've got a few. By the way, all the extras are the ones that Raja told me not to ask. So I'm going to try a few. What's the one thing that needs to happen for Israel-Hamas war to end?
It's a tough one. I would honestly pass up on this.
Okay. And what's the one thing that needs to happen for Ukraine-Russia war to end?
I would pass up on that. No, I think in a way, eventually, in the case of Ukraine-Russia, somewhere the parties have to come to the conclusion that they would like to, that they want to end the conflict.
And India has offered to help, but it's not sort of...
Look, a lot of countries at different points of time, even the UN, even Guterres has offered, but, it's a constant, there's a constant discussion on this.
Who is going to be the one who invites? Both parties have to invite, or will America have to invite?
No. At this time, we don't know. Remember, they were talking for some time after the conflict began.
Yeah.
In Belarus and then in Turkey.
Okay. The one thing that's changed in Indian government's dealing with Pakistan over the past 10 years and one thing that stayed the same?
I would say what has changed is the clarity about responding to terrorism. One thing which has changed, remained the same, is the reality of the fact that they are a neighbor.
Okay. The one lesson you would advise the Indian Prime Minister to learn from China's faltering economy?
No, if I gave advice to the Prime Minister, I'm not going to give you that insight.
Okay. Last few. Which will make you happier, rising on the ease of doing business index or VDEM's democracy index?
One is a serious one in the real world. The other one, the less said, the better.
Okay, all right. In the third term, if there's a third term, the first summit the Prime Minister should do would be with whom? Okay, who would you invite? The third term, who would you invite for the swearing in? No?
Can't answer that.
Okay. Is there one thing you regret in your professional career? One thing that stands out as something that you kind of regret?
No, I honestly wouldn't say that because I know that every career, there'll always be some place
benefit of hindsight, etc.
I would have liked to do a posting there. But you also know that any choice you made would have been at the expense of any other choice. So I think I had a representative sample. It was a good career. It did offer different jobs, worked with a lot of interesting people in interesting places. So no, really no regrets.
Super.